Um, Thank you all for coming to the India Business Forum. This is our second year hosting the India Business Forum. On behalf of SID, I want to welcome everybody to the forum, and especially our India delegation that has traveled from India, and you'll be hearing from them soon. There's also a couple of Indian exhibitors here this year. So Anupam Rasalam and Resolute is here. So thank you for coming and actually having an exhibition. So. With that, I would like to just have maybe the India delegates stand up so people can recognize the folks that have come from India. So if you can stand up and just turn around so people can take a look at you and so they can find you afterwards. So thank you all for coming. I don't know if some of you went to the keynotes this morning, but you heard from John Kimisis, who's our president, SID, that India Initiative is one of the key initiatives. And we as a Society for Information Display see huge growth in India. And what is SID's mission is really being there to support and enable a display industry. And how are we doing that? We're doing it in a couple of different ways. One is we've started to organize monthly meetings now. It's virtual meetings and in-person meetings. And we have an incredible calendar of events that have already been happening. And I'd like to recognize Dr. Ashwini Agarwal, who started with SID India last year as an advisor and really spearheading all those meetings and everything. So thank you, Ashwini, for joining. And if you don't know him from past, he was director at Applied Materials for government liaison relationships. So he knows the ecosystem very well. So we're really fortunate to have you on board, Ashwini. And if you want to hear more about what we're doing in India, there's going to be a lunch after the panel, and we'll talk a little bit more about that there. So I want to say, today's panel was in two parts. We were going to have Secretary Krishnan, Secretary of MeitY, join, but due to the unfortunate events in India and Pakistan border, he was not allowed to travel. And so we're going to change the format a little bit. And the first part of the presentation is going to be by Bob O'Brien, who's a research director at Counterpoint. Previously, people know them as DSCC. He was a co-founder and principal analyst at DSCC. So before Bob comes here, I just want to say one more thing. I just want to thank and recognize all our sponsors, especially the founding members. So E-Ink, Samsung, Sharp, they've been founding members from the very beginning 2 years ago. And because of them, we were able to kickstart the effort in India. So big thank you to them. Also, our partner ICEA, unfortunately, they could not make it because of the situation in India. But they're really our force on the ground to be able to help support the growth in the display industry. And so we're fortunate to have them as a partner. And then event supporters. So you can see a lot of names there: Corning, Applied Materials, E-Ink. As we're doing all these events monthly basis, really as a society, we're a nonprofit, but it's the support from all of these companies that's actually enabling us. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to Bob, who's going to share a little bit about his perspective on Indian market. And then second part of the session is going to be panels. So I'm going to invite some of the delegates to have a panel. So Bob. Yeah, all right, it's all yours.
Okay, thanks, Harit. You hear me okay? Okay. Yeah, so as he said, I'm a research director at Counterpoint Research. Been looking at display technologies and markets for, well, the whole part of this century, at any rate. When I think about the India market for displays, we start with a picture of the worldwide market. And in the worldwide market, you have 6 applications with huge volumes, more than 100 million units. They're all very mature. Well, automotive still has some growth, and you'll see that around here in the exhibition. But TVs, monitors, laptops, tablets, smartphones, all very mature applications. But the world's most populous country, still has room for growth, even in unit terms, let alone in other elements, because of the status of the macroeconomy and the growth of the population. India's domestic TV market is a fraction of what it could be. We estimated at about 16 million in 2024. A comparison for China's peak TV market, 60 million in 2018. Now, it's no longer 60 million, it's actually been reduced, but there is a potential for many tens of millions of TVs, more than are currently sold. Part of that is the market is inhibited by high prices. Affordability is the key factor there. The retail price of comparable products is more expensive than the US, and of course, the purchasing power is less. The Indian mobile phone market is huge, and it's growing in sophistication. So it's not necessarily growing in unit terms in terms of new devices, but it is growing in sophistication. IT applications are markets that are growing. We estimate that the end market, so the market at the consumer level or the business buyer level in India is about 7% of worldwide flat panel display. And of course, India has 0% of the flat panel display TFT production. All flat panels that are sold in India, and by the way, like the United States or the United Kingdom or Canada or many other countries, are imported either as components or as finished products. Localized production in India could enable this kind of virtuous cycle that we envision for display technologies, where local production brings lower costs, brings lower prices, brings higher volume, brings economies of scale, brings lower costs, and so forth. And then I'll talk a lot about the India domestic market, but of course, beyond the domestic India market, there is an increasing number of opportunities, given the geopolitics, for companies that want to do a China plus one strategy. With the overwhelming amount of the production of the display industry in China, companies that want a China plus one could look to India for that production. Okay, so a few notes on the market. On these slides, we will show on the left side worldwide numbers, and on the right side, India end market numbers. Mobile phones, so this first charts are showing units. Mobile phones are by far the biggest item in units. TVs, I'm sorry. This is revenue. Okay, sorry. We'll start with revenue. Okay. Mobile phones are the biggest application in terms of revenues. TV is the second biggest. Mobile phones is a mature application on a worldwide basis. We think it still has a little bit of room for growth on an India basis. The value of TV panels spiked during the pandemic. TV panels prices increased more than 100% from the trough to the peak, and have come back down. We don't expect another such severe supply disruption in the next few years. In fact, panel prices have been remarkably stable over the last 24 months for a reason that I won't get into. IT panel revenues, again, peaked in 2021. They've come down since then, but they're at a higher level, and we expect them to remain at a higher level than they were pre-pandemic. AR, VR, and automotive are the growth opportunities, and that's from a worldwide basis. That's where revenue growth is going to be, and I think that's what you're seeing around here in the exhibition. In the India market, by far, by application, mobile phones are the largest, right? Just because you have all of those units, and it's a very competitive market. TVs growing in revenue as screen sizes are increasing, units are increasing. IT IT panel revenues will exceed the 2021 levels. You didn't have quite the spike there in India. Okay, another way that we look at the market is by area. When you're building a fab, one of the components that you're always going to be looking at is how much area of display area are we capable of making. TVs dominate that. About 70% of worldwide display area is TVs. IT markets rebounded. Our IT markets make up about 20% of display area, and we expect them to have a little bit of growth in the coming years. AR and VR and automotive, both of them very small amounts of area, a lot more higher value in terms of dollars per square meter. In TV, in India, like in the world, TVs on an area basis represent the majority of area. We expect the growth in IT products, laptops, tablets, growth in units to drive growth in area, single-digit percent. Okay, taking another look, this is the display market by technology, and here we're returning back to revenues. You see in the blue bars, LCD revenues, and in the, I guess, orange bars, OLED revenues. Display revenues peaked in 2021 with the pandemic peak. LCD will not go away, but LCD may never reach the same revenue that it reached in may never again reach the same revenue it reached in 2021. OLED is increasing across all applications, but in many applications it's at a very low base. Let's see, 170. So the pandemic peak was 160 million. 2 years later, it was 117 million. So lost more than 25%. It's rebounded a little bit since then. LCD revenues have plateaued at about 85 billion. OLED is increasing, a 5% CAGR in OLED value. We think that the Indian market will look similar, maybe a plateau in the LCD market at some 5 or 6 billion, and a growing portion in OLED revenue. Okay, just a couple of comments about what we, whoops, let me go back. The TV market worldwide, we look at 8 different regions. One of the regions that's actually showing some unit growth is Asia Pacific, in which India sits. Another one is Eastern Europe recovering from, or when we might anticipate it recovers from the war in Ukraine. The other dynamic in the TV market is screen sizes getting bigger. We're definitely seeing an acceleration of that. We saw in the last year, the Chinese brands in particular getting aggressive with very, very large TVs, 90-inch plus TVs driving that higher. Okay, in smartphones, smartphones also peaked in 2018 before the pandemic and actually declined a little bit in 2019. You had a little bit of a wiggle in the pandemic, but 21% down over the 5 years from 2018 to 2023. It's coming back a little bit, but may never reach the peak again of 2018 because there is a substantially larger refurbished smartphone market today than there was 7 years ago, and that's going to continue. There's going to continue to be a significant refurbished market, and so the sales of new devices will be lower. Then if you look at on a unit term on the right side, we show by form factor. The orange bar is rigid OLED. The gray bar is what we call flexible OLED. LGD calls it plastic OLED. Foldable and rollable will be niche markets within the smartphone segment. But you still have some hundreds of millions of LCD panels going into smartphones in 5 years. LCD is going to be the vampire of the display industry. You're never going to be able to kill it. Okay, so just some final words. Displays, the revenue, we have a little bit of revenue growth, 3%. Almost all of that's driven by AR, VR, and automotive. LCDs are not going to go away, right? They're not a growing industry, but they're not going to go away, and they're going to be around for a very long time. OLED's growing, but from a very, very low base in certain applications. OLEDs dominate the smartphone premium space, but in most other applications, the penetration of OLED is dramatically lower. India absolutely represents an attractive opportunity for the flat panel display industry. You've got a growing market in TVs, units, and revenues. You've got a growing IT market. The smartphones are increasing in sophistication and technology, and the trend to China plus one sourcing is going to be a friend to any company that decides to build displays in India. Okay, that's what I've got. I will stick around if there are questions, and I'll turn it back to Harit for where we go next.
Yeah. Thank you, Bob. Yeah, you can stay here. Yeah. All right. I have some urgent questions, but I'll just wait until we get the other panelists. Yeah. Why don't you? Yeah. Yeah. I'll just sit here. Thank you, Bob. So what I'd like to do now is just invite our panel that most of them travel from India. So I'd like to invite Mr. Kotnis, who is the CEO and Managing Director for Dixon. Welcome. Yeah. And then I'd like to invite Mr. Soni, Gurbax Soni from Resolute. He's the Chief Business Officer for Resolute, and they have a booth here, so thank you for coming. Yeah, please. I'd like to invite Mr. Soni Saran Singh from Tiantronics. He's the founder, CEO, and Managing Director. Yeah, thank you. And last but definitely not least, Mr. Mahindra Taneja from VP of Business Development from EKKAA. Welcome. Yeah, thank you. So I'm going to start with some questions. If you have a question, you can walk up to the mic and you can ask a question. It would be nice if you can face the camera, or and you can point to if there's a question for a specific panelist or it's a general question. So with that, thank you all for coming, and it's incredible to have this panel here. So I'm going to start with maybe asking every one of you to just kind of introduce yourself, your company, what your company does, and what really brings you to Display Week, and what are you looking forward to get out of Display Week. So maybe start with Mr. Kotnis.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Harit. Thank you for SID to be a member here. So I'm Abhijit Kotnis. I represent Dixon Technologies. I am the president and CEO there. Display has been the forefront of Dixon going forward. So Dixon is basically a contract manufacturing company. We don't operate a brand of our own, but we call ourselves the brand behind brands. So we are basically like Foxcons of India. Last year revenues touched 4.5 billion US. We are a listed company. Billion US, yeah. A big B. Listed company, market cap of now today at 10 billion US. Okay. The main business today is smartphones, mobile handsets. To give you a number, we do roughly 5 million mobile handsets every month. Okay, that makes it 60 million a year. We do all the brands which you can imagine in Android space in India, all the big names, except iPhone. We do every other Android brand. Then we have in consumer electronics, we have televisions, we have in appliances, we have washers, refrigerators. In IT products, we do laptops for major brands. top 4 out of the 5 top brands in the world. We are a customer for them. Then we have also telecom products, wherein GPONs, routers, wherein we have a joint venture with the biggest company called Airtel in India. Then we are very big into LED lighting. So we make bulbs, downlighters. So we are in 9 different businesses in India. And as a part of the India government initiative, we are a beneficiary of the PLI scheme, which the government has rolled out for deepening manufacturing in India, which gives a incremental revenue of 4 to 6% of your annual turnover as an incentive. So this was a very big and welcome step by the government, which gave a very big boost to the local manufacturing in the past, I can say 5 years' time. So Dixon, if I give you a number, we listed in 2017, okay, 2017-18, and that time our revenue was 300 million US. So today we are at 4.5 billion, okay? So it's a 15x growth. Market cap, 300 million when we listed. Today we are at 10 billion. So that's a 70x growth. So this gives you a rough idea how the manufacturing has taken a very big jump in India. Okay? So thank you. That was a short introduction of Dixon. So I hand over the mic to my colleagues.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. It's a great time to be here as part of SID. To be honest, this is the first time that Resolute group of companies from Hyderabad, India is representing the contract manufacturing space with the August company of all the big OEMs and various component suppliers here. It's a good time to be here. Thank you, Harit, for this opportunity. So to introduce Resolute, we are a contract manufacturer. We are based out of a city called Hyderabad in India. There is a little difference in the way we operate, probably being a contract manufacturer. We believe in partnerships. That's what we do. So we have various ODMs across the globe, who we are associated with, who give us that edge to go ahead and collaborate and deliver solutions not just for India but globally. We also have a slight edge in terms of our delivery, in terms of what we do. We have a background with Celestica. We were part of a tier 1 Canadian EMS company called Celestica India. So that gives us a global DNA in our processes. That's where we actually learned global systems and processes to deliver locally in India. And we are present in the consumer, IT, telecom, display, of course, forms a really big part of our product portfolio as well. We are one of the biggest suppliers to Jio as an offering for their 5G air fiber solutions today, and various other products that we do even in the defense, aerospace, medical space as well. So that's what, in short, we can talk about Resolute. Thank you.
Good morning to all of you. And my name is Soni Singh, and I'm the founder, managing director, and CEO of NMtronics India Private Limited. First, I would like to give thanks to Harit and also to the SID for giving an opportunity to be here in front of all of you. I started this company nearly about 30 years back, and I am a SMT person, surface mount technology person. And I can say that like 30 years back, what SMT industry was in India, display technology or display industry is almost in the similar stage in India. But like 30 years, SMT industry has grown to the second largest ecosystem in the world. And I believe that in next few years, but not like 30 years, but next few years, India will be the significant player in field of display technology. Coming back on the company, we are in the field of electronics manufacturing, we are in the field of solar, we are in the field of EV and also robotic automation. In brief, we are an equipment guys. So I represent more than 40 companies all across Northern Hemisphere. We provide the total solution in all the areas which I just mentioned about the SMT, solar, EV, and robotic automation. So people sitting on my right side, left side, they're all my customers. I form a very important ecosystem for them and very proud to be associated with them. They all have a very ambitious plan to get into the display technology, and I would like to be. And what inspired me to come to the SID, this is my first event, and believe me, it gives me a feeling like I'm a freshman in the university. I attended some short courses yesterday, and it was very inspiring. Something really went inside my head and something went over my head. So I want to be very honest with you. But it was very interesting because I met some of the veterans. Like yesterday and today I'm meeting, and I'm very much inspired with the knowledge and the depth of information they have, the market, they have it. And the way the world has grown, and I am just looking forward, maybe India will also be seen in the similar way. So that's the aim it is. Display is something, what I found, that display is something, it's not like a plug and play, that companies can make a joint venture and it is just like it's going to start. It requires a very deep tech, it requires a lot of recipes, it requires a secret knowledge, which companies have evolved over the years. All the major players, what you see here in this hall, they have invested a lot in the R&D. And that is what I learned, especially from my guru, Dr. Raj. He is giving me off and on some lessons. And we have already started working with some of the Japanese company, trying to make the equipments and the R&D tools in India. And we are very committed because our Honorable Prime Minister is very committed for the Make in India program. So being an equipment guy, I want to remain only with my core DNA for making the equipments in India. And hopefully my clients, my right side, left side will start using the machines. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Yeah. Before we go to Mahindra, I would just want to ask you a question, or just want to make a comment and then a quick question. Well, first is, I want to thank Dr. Raj Rajeshwaran. TN-Tronics is our first corporate member in India. So that's a big milestone, and there's more in the process. But thank you for believing in SID and what we're doing. So thank you for that. And I think you have to also explain your name, because we were talking about it yesterday. If you're Indian origin, you'd realize his name consists of 3 last names.
That's right. Yes, and people say my first name is Soni, so he's also Soni, but in any way. But people say I'm an Indian brand, not the Japanese brand.
Right. This side Mahindra. I'm representing EKKAA Electronics, which is a core company into the display manufacturing. We are based in Noida, and the company handle end-to-end assembly of display products. The display product, if we say, it is a LED TV, and now we are switching to QLEDs also. And on the other hand, in the commercial display, now we are moving towards the digital signage also. And in the education part, where we are now going to contribute for the Indian government in the smart educations, where we have already developed IFPD panels and now going to manufacture that in India itself. The major part of EKKAA is basically end-to-end assembly, means even we do the open cell assembly also. We have our clean room, we have every facility available. Even we do the backlit assembly also, with the SMTs. We have more than 4 lines, SMT lines. We have complete final assembly setups is there. On the other hand, a major point linked to EKKAA is manufacturing of the back plate, metal plate, for the TV or for the others. This is one of the major point where we are different from other industry. We have the complete press of machines where we do the cabinet manufacturing. One is metal cabinets, another is basically plastics one. So we have the plastic molding setups also. We have the metal cabinet manufacturing setups also. So EKKAA, the name drives from let us work together and win. We called this that a EKKAA also, right? So let us work together and win. because alone you cannot win. In a team you can win. So this is one of the major keyword, right? And more important, because we are handling more than 2 million TV every years. So this is one of the major part that in supply chain we never face a issue. The partners behind us, they are also well strong. And again, the customer, who are the local brand in India. Frankly speaking, we are not attached to big brand like Panasonic and all this. We are attached to the local brands. And that they are also growing with us. And we are providing all back-end facility to them. It is like their own factory. So this is one of the advantages to the local brand there. And now with the development of all these setups, we want to now come globally, where we want to give our ODM services also to the different country, wherever they want. And we are ready to take the technology and we are ready to assemble there, right? And on the other end, in education also, we are ready to support in terms of providing different infrastructures like the smart board. We are ready to collaborate with the software companies also who do not know the hardware part. Because many of the companies are there who is having the software solution, but they do not have the back-end hardware technology. So this is the brief about the EKKAA Electronics. And I'm really thankful to you to attend this forum. On the other end, I'm really thankful to the Dr. Raj, Dr. Johan, Dr. Agarwal to align all these things so that this thing can happen. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Really inspiring stories, and we'll hear a little bit more. I want to go to Bob O'Brien, and I have a couple of questions from your slides, and so first one is on the technology side of things, right? Obviously, as you said, LCD. There used to be a trend where you have a new technology come in, takes a while, and then eventually kind of fades out, and something takes over. And I think it looks like we're moving to a world where multiple technologies will coexist, including LCD, OLED, and maybe micro LED at some day. So, from your perspective and what you have seen in other markets, what is your recommendation for the Indian display industry? What technologies should be considered, right? And what would be a pathway for a long-term success for the growth and for the industry? Yeah.
I think it depends sort of first fundamentally, a company needs to define what is its business model, right? I think decide, do you want to be addressing the India end market, or do you want to be addressing the export market? I mean, already there's plenty of assembly of smartphones in India for the export market, but now you're competing with China. And if you're going to be doing that, then you probably want OLED panels, because that's the higher end of the market. You're going to be selling higher end smartphones. OLED is very hard to build. One company makes profits in OLED. All of the other companies that are in that business don't make profits or don't make attractive profits. If your business model would be to address the India end market, LCD may be a better choice. LCD fab can be up and running and ramped and running well with good yield, assuming you have the process engineering, you have that expertise, you bring that in, you can get that up running fast, and you can actually have a business. Most of the companies that have started to build OLED have taken a long time to ramp their fabs and get up to good yield. So that's, I think, the distinction there. So I think, starts with, what do you want your business model to be? What are the mix of products that you want to tackle, and that helps to shape the technology choice.
So another way, you think LCD would be maybe a great place to start, or if somebody's trying to do just OLED, maybe they should think about having maybe dual technology front, right?
A company that decides it wants to do OLED might be wise to start with LCD because it is simpler. I'd like to talk about LCD is macroscopically complex. There's a lot of films and layers and so on.
Yeah.
But it's microscopically simple because the circuit only has to set a voltage and the liquid crystal does all the magic. OLED is macroscopically simple. You don't have a lot of layers. You don't have a lot of, right? But it's microscopically complex because an OLED circuit has to be much, much more complex because it's doing the real work of driving current and driving light. So that microscopically complex costs a lot of money to fix if you start getting into it.
Thank you, Ron. I'd like to come to Mr. Kotnis and incredible growth story, the 17x in such a short time. So I'm wondering if you can share with the audience here the inner workings of that, what it took, and how the display industry can actually learn from that. Because there's a time when, and still probably some people believe that India is way behind, and display fabs are not there, but there's been a great success stories like yours on the electronics side. So maybe if you can share the inner workings of that and how that can be used towards the display, for the display industry.
Yeah, thanks, Harit. Coming to the growth story, as I briefly said in my opening remarks, see, the key driver has been the government initiatives, for sure. I mean, the Make in India policy after 2014. If you just see the numbers, India was nothing in 2014-15 in terms of manufacturing. Today, we are making 350 million smartphones every year and exporting to the US as well, Apple shifted its whole supply chain to India, for the China Plus One policy. So definitely the government policies has been a key driver in this. The Make in India policy, followed by the production link incentive schemes, the spec scheme, the phased manufacturing program, which the government is releasing every 1 or 2 years, and even the ISM policy, the semiconductor mission, which they rolled out about 10 billion US last year. Many companies have started investing in semiconductors. Unfortunately, there is nobody in the display space right now, but I'm sure in the ISM2, which is about to be released, definitely some interest will be there. So coming back to my company, Dixon, Dixon has been on the wave of this government initiatives. And from, there is a incentive, better incentive for the Indian companies who are manufacturing in India compared to the foreign companies. So definitely, Dixon has been a member of that PLI scheme, and with this we have had many partnerships of all the global companies. You name any company in the Android space, and they are partners with us. Okay, and the Dixon's main key point is the execution. See, every customer has his own challenges of execution. So the transparency and the prowess in which Dixon has ramped up its production has given us the confidence to our key customers. And by that means, we have been able to add customers year on year. Okay? Deepening of manufacturing, backward integration, key learning to the employees, give them incentives, policies. We have very good incentive schemes for all the employees as well. To retain a talent, definitely there are some schemes rolled out like ESOPs to the employees, which help us to retain them. So these are some of the key points wherein the Dixon has grown over the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. If I can ask a quick follow-up question to that, there's also some rumors that Dixon is maybe considering building a fab, a display fab. Maybe you cannot comment, but it looks like there's some information out there. So maybe you can share at least the process, and it looks like you have had an incredible journey of growth. Yes. So I'm just wondering what's next for Dixon.
So, yeah, so you want me to talk about the rumors, okay? Okay, so see, as I told you, we are the top manufacturer of smartphones. Of course, we do 60 million a year. We do televisions, about 3 to 4 million a year. We do laptops, almost 3 million a year. That means we are the largest consumer of displays. Obviously, the one step back if you go, we have decided to go in for the module assembly. The latest PLI scheme is rolled out by the government. So we have, by this December, we will roll out the first backward integration, that is the display module assembly. We buy the cell, we do the bonding and module assembly in-house, okay? And of course, it is for captive consumption, but if there is a capacity, we can roll out to the market as well. Next obvious step is why not a fab? I mean, this question has been coming to us back and forth. Yes, we have a vision of that. I don't deny it because our chairman has been talking about it in the press. So we have a vision to go in for that. We are looking out for the ISM2 policy to be rolled out. See, ISM2 policy, if some of the members may not know, the government is incentivizing 50% of the capex of the fab on a pari passu basis. Okay, so this scheme, and also the state government. Yeah, there is a 25% to 30% incentive by the states, which means in effectively 70 to 75% subsidy is being given by the government. So this is nowhere in the world like this kind of a subsidy, not even in China. I mean, this kind of scheme has been rolled out. So looking into that, possibly in near future, because as we calculated, if we put a Gen 8.6, 60K fabs, we will be able to consume it in-house, okay, looking at these numbers. And there is an obvious question, what next after the PLI scheme? Because this PLI is not going to be forever, okay? So the natural progression is to be looking into deepening of manufacturing. Yeah. So obviously this is in our vision. Not yet finalized. We are looking out for that announcements very soon.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. I'd like to go to Mr. Soni and just ask about your journey and what's next for Resolute.
Sure. For Resolute, the way we've been growing, we've added a lot of customers. Obviously, we started about 27 years ago, if I may, just give you a quick synopsis. So 27 years ago, we started with about 50 operators doing small, PCB assemblies, one-wave soldering machine kind of a setup. And from there, we've moved on into, getting into contract manufacturing for bigger products. We exported the Logitech wireless mouse to the US. We've made ADSL modems and exported them to Germany. This has all been part of our journey. And thereafter, like I mentioned earlier, the ODM partnerships that we've frozen across industry verticals, when it comes to televisions, when it comes to washing machines on the consumer side. And now, we are tying up with even more ODMs across, especially from Taiwan, on the telecom side as well. And what we see, what's developing and what's going to be very interesting from our Resolute's standpoint is, just in addition to what Kotnis Saab said here, is the component PLI scheme as well, which the Indian government has rolled out. And we're going to be a very active participant in, getting into manufacturing some of these key components, which obviously find their way into most of the displays as well. So that's the way we look at, what lies ahead for us in the future.
Okay, thank you. So I'd like to go to Mr. Soni Saran Singh. There's many Sonys. So just, it's unique to see a supplier of an equipment that has actually done so phenomenally well over the years. So I'm wondering if you can share a little bit more about that journey and where you are in terms of the ecosystem, right? And what's next from supply chain perspective. Because one of the things that people have on their mind is like, okay, want to build a fab, you want to build a factory, the infrastructure doesn't exist, right? First, the infrastructure should come, but maybe you can share from that perspective how some of the companies that are actually, supporting the supply chain ecosystem, what the journey has been, what the growth's been in the last few years.
Yes, Harit. Yes, my journey has always been for the equipment industry. I have always been the equipment distributor, means we provide the sales, service, and application engineering for all the companies, 40 companies I represent all across the world. But you know, the way the Indian economy is growing and the way all our customers are growing, there's a lot of pressure coming from the government for the Make in India program. And this has really changed our perspective as well. If I run some numbers, for example, in the field of electronics manufacturing, India must have imported more than $1.5 billion worth of the capital equipments in India, all across like Japan, Korea, China, Taiwan, most of the European countries and the US countries. It's very surprising that not even 0.5% of the $1.5 billion for the worth of the machines or capital equipments are manufactured in India. And there is a huge potential. If you look at China, the way the equipment industry have really grown, look at Germany, look at Japan, like the capital equipment industry is always a backbone for any country GDP, and where the India is really lacking behind. So, because the way I travel, the way I see the world, then I see that yes, the India is progressing so well. So we as a company, as a corporate, have already decided to get into the equipment manufacturing also. And when I am representing the more than 40 companies worldwide, so when they are seeing India as a potential, so I'm one of the obvious joint venture partners. So I've already started making joint ventures. At the same time, I started building the team of mechanical and electrical engineers who started building some automation tools. And I can say it is just a journey. We have already started that. And inspired from all the developed countries like China and Japan and the Korea, I'm very sure that 0.5% of the total import of the capital machine will soon become 5%.
Yeah. And you were sharing some numbers about the number of machines you were making a few years ago and how many you're making
Exactly.
now. Maybe it'd be good for people to understand that.
Yes, 30 years back when I founded the company, I was selling one SMT line in 1 year. Today, I'm selling almost one SMT line per week. And I almost have a 50% market share when it comes to the SMT line business. So I can say that India is right now the second largest SMT market, equipment market after China. So the gap is becoming narrower, and I can run some very interesting numbers. China, typically, I can say that one SMT line is sold every day or every 2 days, and we are selling as an overall one SMT line every 3 to 4 days.
Wow.
So the India market is rapidly growing. My business has also grown multiple times, not like Dixon, but yes, we are still like a privately held company. And but they are definitely the inspiring story for everybody. But yes, when it comes to the capital equipments, I have a lot of venture capital companies and the banks are looking at us as one of the success growth story. I hope I will live it to their expectation as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. We'll take some questions from the audience too. So if you have a question, you can walk up to the microphone and feel free to ask any questions that you may have. So in the meantime, I'm going to ask Mahindra ji a question. So if you can share from your experience, right, how your growth has been and what is next for you, and what is being done on the display side, because you are actually more like producing displays that are going in signage and applications. So if you can speak from that aspect, that would be very helpful.
Right. Thank you. In terms of display market, first of all, I will discuss the display market in India. Definitely, it's a big market, right? And if we say in terms of bigger brand or smaller brand, yes, India is having more market in villages, right? Where local brands are very much popular instead of big brand. Say Panasonic or something, they are not much popular. Second is the cost impact, right? So costing is also playing a major role. So here, the company like EKKAA, who has started their own company in 2018, right? And now in 2025, the company has already achieved 1,000 CR in terms of INR, right? And now next year target is almost double, right? And most probably we are going for the IPO also. So linked to investment, yes, we have the big plan. On the other hand, we are very much sure about the implementation plan in our factories. We have the factory which is really sustainable, right? In term for the environment also. If you come to factory, it is not having the concrete, right? So this is the another area where I'm just giving focus. Now coming towards the display. Linked to display, we have the major plan that yes, we have to grow in the displays. Not only TV, we are going in the signage also, we are going for the informatic display also. Actually, one of the customer in automobiles, which is basically a major giant in automobile, we were having a discussion with them for making informatic display also. So we are ready to do some kind of collaboration, we are ready to do some kind of tie-up wherever market is there. And we are here to ready to invest also. We are here ready to increase the infrastructure also. So I think this is the brief where I think we can say something. And any questions, I think, from anyone, most welcome.
Yeah,
Sir.
thanks. John?
Is this on? Okay. I guess I can kick us off with a question, and maybe this might be a question for Dr. Abhijit, but one of the challenges I think is, you're up against, in the display side, a lot of sunk cost and depreciated capital. And so I was wondering if you could explain a little bit what the tariff profile is in India and how import tariffs, in addition to the capital support that you get from the government, may lead to kind of figuring out the equation of profitability or at least sustainability for any front-end panel fab.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Obviously, there are some, I can say, disadvantages as well, or disabilities specifically. To name a few, of course, the cost of capital, the finance cost is still very high in India compared to the rest of the world. Second important factor is the logistics as well, because India is so vast and the distance between the two cities is quite large. To put up a fab, that's one of the biggest challenges. How the ecosystem is going to develop. I suppose your question was with respect to the fab. Yeah? So, because for a fab to be in place, obviously the ecosystem, all the suppliers like the glass, the color filters, this all have to be around you. Okay, so that's the most important thing. So these are the challenges which we are addressing one by one. Of course, as I said, the initiatives by the government is also supporting it. Infrastructure is getting built up over various cities. The state governments also are incentivizing it. Okay, so I think in a couple of years, India is going to be ready for that. We don't find it a challenge anymore. Of course, coming to the tariffs, yes, India has a slightly, I can say, increased tariff with respect to the world. The import duties, particularly the custom duties, are getting rationalized. They are a little bit higher compared to the rest of the world, but yes, it is being rationalized. The output GST, the VAT, the value addition tax, is a bit high on certain products. For example, on televisions, up to 32 inch is 18%, or a 40 inch and above TV set has a 28% tax, which is quite substantial. Yeah. So that is one of the key points. I think the association has been addressing these points to the government, and I am sure in a couple of years this will be addressed by them very soon. But these disabilities, one by one, I think the government knows them very well. The Niti Aayog, which is the body which is implementing the planning of India, has been addressing this to the government They have prepared a report on these disabilities, and government is addressing it. Okay, so I think in a couple of years, sir, this will be getting addressed.
Yeah. I think yeah, go ahead, Nilesh.
Hi. Thank you, Bob, for giving the entire presentation on how the India market looks like. I have many questions, but I'll stick to only one, and maybe to Dixon team and EKKAA team. Although we are, like, of course, fab and everything, we are trying to start in India, but how about the manpower that supports all R&D for this one? Of course, China and South Korea, they are dominating in LCD and OLED business. Like Bob suggested, of course, start with LCD and then go for OLED. That sounds good, but we need to prepare manpower to go for this one too. Thank you.
Okay, so I think the question you raised is very rightly. I forgot to mention in one of the disabilities. So what at Dixon we have done is we have already started some center of excellences for educating our the staff and the workers as well. We have tied up with academia as well. We have some collaboration with the IIT Delhi, IIT Kanpur, wherein we are collaborating with them for the new age technologies, right? So one training is for the behavioral training, which the workers or the employees get trained. And one is for the new technologies, of course. So the new technologies, of course, in the display, we have to be upgraded every now and then. So only thing is tie up with some universities, get hands-on things. I think Dr. Ashwini has been helping us on that front as well. So SID India chapter also has from IIT Kanpur some academia as well as IIT Delhi. So we are working with them very closely on that. And I think, yes, it will take certain time. But if you look at China a few years back, they had the same problem. So why not India? India will also get ready by that time. Okay? So we are very confident on that. Don't worry.
Can I?
Yeah,
can
Bob, I think Bob want to maybe add something.
Yeah, just I would make a few comments. Absolutely, a workforce that is well trained and well, capable is going to be a critical success factor for any business in India. The core technology of making a display is photolithography, right? That requires expertise in process engineering. You need those experienced process engineers. You're probably going to be getting some from other countries. If you're starting in India, you're going to be. I would almost advise someone who is starting in India first to hire a great Korean chef. Then set up a big kitchen, and because I worked for LG Philips Displays, and I learned the Koreans. They really like Korean food. They really need to have Korean food. So you're going to bring in some expertise from outside. At the same time, you're building up your local workforce. That's going to be important. And now that the two big Korean companies are out of the LCD business, there's probably people around who would be willing to go if you can get them some good Korean food.
Okay. Can I?
Would like to add, along with the words which was given by Mr. Abhijit also. Yes, workforce is the main key part of any product. Even if you have the infrastructure, even if you have the good machine, everything, but without manpower, you are nothing, right? And this is here the point which said that one hire an experienced person, right? And then basically draw down. And when you have the continuously repetitive work, right? It is very easy to train the manpower because every day they will come, they will do the repetitive work, right? And after 6 months, you will find even their operator is more trained as compared to the engineer. This is the fact. Even in the home also, if you found, this is the true for each and every area. Thank you.
Yeah. So I think we'll take the last question, Ashwini.
So not the question, but completing the response out there, Nilesh, you raised a very valid point. I think the government's been very cognizant of it. We have an electronic sector skill council in India, which actually looking at creating these jobs roles, the standards for those skills. and rolling out those skill programs into the country very, very aggressively. So, we have seeded in the display technologies and factory automation and factory manufacturing operations programs in the national occupation standards. These are formally cleared by the government. There have been recommendations on display technologies which are now formally in the course curriculum for the All India Council for Technical Education, which is a nodal body under the Ministry of Education. We have been going out from SID India over the last 1 year, touching all the regions, north, south, east, west, trying to get the academia to start rolling out those curriculums into the marketplace. So there's a sea change. The awareness is building up by an order of magnitude, and this is going to add to the workforce development. The structure of the trainings is very skill oriented. It's not just design oriented. For example, on a totally different example, if it's vacuum technology for nanotech applications, the guys got to know the principles of it, what's a Pascal, millibar, torr, mean free path. He needs to know different types of roughing pumps, be able to identify different components of it, understand what is required to create an ultra-high vacuum for these nanotech applications, be able to identify leakage, how to detect, how to correct. It's got to be item by item that somebody certifies the guy has gone through it to be called a vacuum technologist, okay, for these applications. So it's a very structured program that is actually rolling out at this point of time. And that is what is bringing the change for the factories also.
Yeah. Thank you, Ashwini. Thanks for sharing that. And SID is also starting to do a lot of training programs. So every year when we do our annual conference, we've tried to have a full day of training. Obviously, there's more needed as the industry is going to start picking up. SID will do more and more. With that, we're right at the time for ending the panel. So with that, I'd like to, before I thank the panel, I just want to remind everybody that where you're sitting, you probably find this postcard, and this talks about the India conference that we're hosting on September 3rd in New Delhi. So I invite everybody to come join. If you'd like to actually speak at the conference, you can actually let us know. There's an email address that I'll put up on the screen here. So if you want to be involved in SID in any way, if you can actually switch to the last slide of the different deck. Please email at this address if you'd like to be a speaker, if you'd like to be engaged and volunteering and helping take part in the India display industry growth. I think we're... so anyway, September 3rd in New Delhi. Please mark your calendars.